Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. Today I have the pleasure to go through how the analog generator works inside Phaze plant. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, as you can see, we have Phaze plant open and we have a host which is FL Studio. Really recommend it as a DAW. And we have a standard preset loaded. It doesn't really matter because we are going to click on new and we're going to start from fresh. As I explained in the previous tutorial, and this section is where the generators are added, which are the one responsible for creating the sound. Okay, so you click where there is this rectangle and you have a selection of generators here. You also have a selection of effects, routing, output for envelope, for example, and grouping as well, which I will explain. But let's start with the very simple one, the analog generator. Okay, as you can see, when you add one, you have a name of a group here, which you can enable and disable. Everywhere where you see these, it looks like a button, you can click to enable and disable. And where it says group, for example, you can change the name as well. Okay, like so. Really nice. Now you can enable and disable again the analog, like so, generator. Now is enabled. And you can see that it is outputting to lane number 1, which is this one. So it says send to lane number 1. Indeed, I will show you later on. Then you can change the lanes where you are going to send the output from the generator. And that's very key because you can add a different type of effects. Okay. Now you might be asking why to send only to one lane instead of two. It doesn't really matter because you can add more than one generator, as I will show you in a moment. And therefore you can decide that different generators send their output to different lanes, and then you can add different effects. Think about it like the audio going through a lane, and then in the lane you are going to add an effect like so. Okay. And just again, to ensure that we understand, if you click in here and you were to add, for example, a reverb, you immediately hear a reverb. Now we click here on the X to remove the effect. Now, every generator comes with a set of standard controls. The first one is the level. You see they are highlighted as you move. Even the different parts here, the multiplier and the decimal part, you can see they're highlighted differently. And the way that you change them, you click and hold and then you move up and down. Okay, in this case, you can see I'm changing the level. And of course, as I'm changing the level, the output, if I increase it, it will increase. If I decrease it, it will decrease. Up to 0 where you don't hear anything. Okay. Double click to reset it to the default, which in this case is 100%. Then you can change semitone. And it makes sense as you go up semitones, you actually increase the frequency and therefore you see more so wave, okay, or more so, like so. So if I was to go up quite a lot. Of course, you can go also negative. You can adjust also by cent. Okay, so effectively this is the pitch, right? You adjust it by semitone or by cent. And then you have an harmonic, which is a multiplier. So if you want to run what you have at the moment as a sawtooth 4 times higher as a frequency, you do times 4. Times 2. Or times 1. Oh, times 0, 0 it. It is a true multiplier. You can see when it's 0, it doesn't produce any sound at the moment. I'm pressing keys, but there's nothing coming out. Now you can do some fine-tuning adjustment as well. Okay, double click again to go back to 0. And then here you have a detuning again, which you can adjust on top of the pitch and the multiplier, the harmonic multiplier. Again, you have different type of adjustment. you can do fine adjustment as well. You can see that it's trying to reproduce that analog effect you see is not perfect in terms of when it drops and restart, okay? And that is a sign of a good analog implementation. If you don't want to hear boring type of sounds between notes, then you can adjust the phase. It doesn't have much of an effect on its own, but when you have a one generator, of course, it can be extremely important. And of course, you can do a fine adjustment too. Okay, then this part here is where you choose your waveform. So the first one is so, then your square, your triangle, and your sine. Now, of course, if you have things like a waveform like the rectangle here, or the pulse, you can adjust the pulse width up to 100%, so you don't have pulse, really no sound. And of course, you can also simulate a sync oscillator, okay? Oscillator sync, which is practically plays the oscillator much higher frequency, but it resets the phase at normal frequencies. Really, really nice. Now, of course, you have an envelope here. If you disable it, again, I'm pressing keys, you don't hear anything anymore. If you enable it, of course, you have an output. And that's a choice, of course. I suppose they could have built it with, to work without an envelope, but then, again, the sound would have been generated at maximum level, so it's good to have an envelope that actually manage the output of the generator, in this case the analog generator. Indeed, here you can adjust the attack and also the curve of the attack, the decay and associated curve, a sustain in terms of what is the maximum level, right? Like so for the envelope. Then your release and the curvature, and then you can add a delay, so how long it will wait before kicking. And then you also have an option for an hold as well. You can see that hold over here, right? And you can also grab the points as well and change them yourself, like so. So like this, we change the sustain level, we go between the curvature, click and hold and move up and down, you can change the curvature. So let's say we want to have more attack, so we do that. Change the curvature to go up slower. Let's add some release. Remember, at the moment you have polyphony 8. Okay, so when you play, you have a gain here. You can go up and down in terms of gain. Pan, left and right, and then descend to a lane. Okay, we have also a unison option. I will cover that in another tutorial. You can see here there is an output. If you disable again, you don't have any sound. When you enable it, you have these additional controls. Now, this is the simplest of the generator. It works extremely well, easy to understand. Of course, you can add more than one generator. Click again and select analog. And now you can see the power of it. So let's say we set these everything by default so that we don't have anything. So let's say that we set the second waveform to sine as well. Let me show you what happens to phase as I change it. So they start to actually affect themselves. That is why you need to be extremely careful with the phase, okay? Because if they happen at a different time, they could cancel each other out. So let's try with a rectangle. You see, it's almost cancelled. You have some clicks, but there's no sustain. Although the sustain is 100% for both. But as soon as I move the phase, so you need to be really careful with phasing. Of course, when you add more than one, then you can create a richer sound, right? And it's good at this point to do some shifting and perhaps some detuning as well. Maybe this one you want to go below by 12 semitones. You can create all different type of sounds. Let's go for actually so. Much richer. Of course, if you were to add straight away an effect, even just a simple reverb, much nicer. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I hope you enjoyed this first tutorial on the analog generator. And as always, see you next time. Bye.